This stick is my lifeline. However, just as she entered Dreamsense Forest, Shui Ying disappeared. Luckily, her lifeline stick was still with her. This also relieved Pei Ling's anxious heart a little. However, the next second, the stick in his hand turned into Fairy Li's small hand, leaving Pei Ling puzzled. How did Fairy Li appear here? Even more unexpected for Pei Ling was, Fairy Li unexpectedly tackled him to the ground and proceeded to undress herself, piece by piece, without a care in the world. He gazed at Fairy Li's stunningly beautiful naked body. Pei Ling's mind was filled with 1,000 thoughts instantly. No man can resist such a seductive scene. No way. In front of everyone, the live dual cultivation is not possible. Fairy Li would never be so proactive. It must be an illusion, just as Fairy Li reaches the final step. Pei Ling made a desperate effort and directly escaped from under Fairy Li. However, a few vines inexplicably appeared in the spot where Pei Ling was lying just now. Pei Ling was shocked in his heart. That was close. He almost died here. When the illusion was revealed, Dream Shade no longer disguised itself. She directly summoned several vine attacks towards Pei Ling. Pei Ling naturally would not sit and wait to die, immediately using the blood ghost escaping art to slash towards Dream Shade. At this critical moment, Ouyang Xianxing appeared in time, pulling Pei Ling back from the illusion. Pei Ling, who had calmed down, instantly broke out in a cold sweat. It turned out that the one he had struck with his sword was not the Dream Shade, but himself. If it weren't for senior brother Xianxing, she risked her life to grab hold of the Nihil blade, otherwise, she might have been dismembered. Heroes are not immune to the charms of a beauty. No man can resist the temptation when 3 stunning beauties all throw themselves at him. However, 10 minutes earlier, Pei Ling was almost led astray by beauty. Fortunately, Ouyang Xianxing arrived in time, saving Pei Ling's life. Pei Ling is unharmed. Ouyang Xianxing comforted Pei Ling, while inquiring about Shui Ying's whereabouts. Pei Ling, however, looked embarrassed. I was originally holding senior brother Shui Ying's wooden stick. Then, somehow senior brother Shui suddenly disappeared, and Shui Ying, who was closest to me, did not come to support. Could he also be in trouble? Ouyang Xianxing, who knew what had happened, did not stay long. She pulled up Pei Ling and headed towards the exit. However, the next second, the two of them were shocked by the scene in front of them, breaking out in a cold sweat. Countless vines suddenly emerged from the ground in Dreamsense Forest, heading straight towards Pei Ling and Ouyang Xianxing. The two could only hurriedly dodge. Pei Ling does seem to have really bad luck. The resentment ghost formed by the resentment of cultivators who died in Dreamsense Forest has only awakened twice in nearly 100 years. Pei Ling encountered the exit right before her eyes, as soon as she arrived for the first time. Resentment ghost blocked the exit directly, and then numerous vines attacked Pei Ling and Ouyang Xianxing. Pei Ling quickly drew out the Nihil blade to resist. However, things did not go as planned. Pei Ling's the Nihil blade cannot cut through the vines at all. Fortunately, Ouyang Xianxing's strong strength barely managed to resist. Just as Pei Ling sighed at Ouyang Xianxing's strong strength, a small vine quietly pierced into Pei Ling's leg. Just a blink of an eye. 3 Fairy Lis appeared in front of Pei Ling and hugged her at the same time. Pei Ling instantly became enthralled and unable to extricate herself. Fortunately, Ouyang Xianxing timely reminded, which pulled Pei Ling back from the illusion. Pei Ling was startled in her heart. It was a close call. She almost fell into it again. Watching the resentment ghost being so difficult to deal with, it's estimated that both of them will have a hard time surviving. It's a pity to see such a good senior sister die. Pei Ling quickly let Ouyang Xianxing go first. With 100 miles escape talisman given by Zheng Jingshan, escaping should not be a problem for herself. However, Ouyang Xianxing is also a stubborn person. She said that if she promised to help Pei Ling seize the Frost Marrow Flame, she would definitely do it. only to see xianxia putting down the black coffin on her back. As the black coffin gradually opened, countless black chains burst out in an instant. Just in an instant, the vines of the resentment ghost were smashed to pieces. Taking advantage of the resentment ghost's moment of pain, xianxia quickly pulled Pei Ling and escaped from the dream sense forest. The energy of the black coffin is not something the current xianxia can control. Although they managed to escape, xianxia also suffered a significant loss of vital energy. Seeing xianxia spitting up blood, Pei Ling quickly stepped forward to inquire. But xianxia insisted that it was nothing serious. However, he emphasized that the matter of opening the black coffin must not be disclosed to anyone. Pei Ling naturally agreed wholeheartedly. Just at that moment, Fang Ji and Shuang also walked over. Watching the two of them fake comforting with calm expressions on their faces, Pei Ling's heart suddenly burned with anger. She had originally thought that Shuang was forced to abandon her due to an accident. He now appears to have purposely harmed me. Shuang, who appears honest on the surface, actually has a lot of malicious intentions. When in the dream sense forest, Shuang deliberately abandoned Pei Ling. This led to Pei Ling almost getting lost in the illusion. Now, on the way to the yin-yang scorpion cauldron with everyone, Shuang was also calculating in her mind how to secretly make Pei Ling fall down. You should know that the yin-yang scorpion cauldron only has a narrow middle path, where the yin and yang energies counteract each other. If one accidentally falls off, for a qi refining stage cultivator, it is undoubtedly fatal. Even Fang Ji on the side has hinted at Pei Ling with words multiple times. You'd better give up on obtaining the frost marrow flame, otherwise you are highly likely to fall into the yin-yang scorpion cauldron, where there will be no bones left. Only xianxia is vigorously defending Pei Ling at the same time. She also did not forget to warn Fang Ji. If you dare to be perfunctory again, don't blame me for not being polite to you. Seeing xianxia getting angry, Fang Ji had no choice but to admit defeat obediently. Learning from past mistakes, Shuang, although willing to push Pei Ling down, did not dare to act rashly. However, what Shuang never expected was Pei Ling actually fell down by herself, but before falling, she still didn't forget to shift the blame to Shuang. This move also left Shuang momentarily at a loss. xianxia was about to get angry. Shuang quickly explained to xianxia that she didn't do anything. However, xianxia insisted that it was Shuang who pushed Pei Ling down. Just as the two of them were arguing, Pei Ling used a move called Blood Ghost Escaping Art and flew up again. Such a brilliant blood ghost escaping art also left everyone present stunned and amazed. Pei Ling was also not idle. He came up and immediately went to xianxia to complain, firmly accusing Shuang of pushing him down. He also asked xianxia to help mediate for him. Shuang wanted to explain, but xianxia did not give him a chance to explain. She took out the bone bloom directly to punish Shuang. Fang Ji hurriedly pleaded for mercy for Shuang. He was stopped by xianxia. Although Shuang was unwilling in every possible way, she had no choice but to accept it. I didn't expect senior sister to trust this kid so much. xianxia directly infused the bone bloom into Shuang's body. With a scream sounding out, Shuang's body was instantly riddled with holes by the chains transformed by bone bloom. Fortunately, Shuang is also at the foundation establishment stage cultivation level, so he can bear this pain. At this moment, Pei Ling has a smug look on her face, thinking, "Ah, you also want to trick me? You are simply weak compared to the system's trickery." After she admonished Shuang, Pei Ling and the others continued on towards Bone Crane Marsh, with Frost Marrow Flame located right in the center of Bone Crane Marsh. They could see Frost Marrow Flame right before their eyes. Pei Ling's eyes lit up immediately. Shuang couldn't help but feel annoyed when she saw Pei Ling's excited expression. The so-called Frost Marrow Flame is nothing to be amazed by. It's just someone who lacks experience. Right at this moment, Ouyang Xianxing then instructed Shui Ying to set up a formation to drive away the cold energy absorbed by the frost marrow flame. With a loud shout from Shui Ying, several formation flags swelled in the wind. The flags were directly inserted into the bone crane marsh, enveloping the frost marrow flame within. Take advantage of Shui Ying's time setting up the formation. Ouyang Xianxing reminded Pei Ling that the process of incorporating fire into the body can be very painful, so you must persevere and not let down Peak Master's efforts. Pei Ling agreed and also asked a question: is it just swallowing the fire directly into the body? At the mention of this, everyone was speechless for a moment. After preparing for so long, they didn't expect that Pei Ling didn't even know the most basic fire absorption mantra. Fang Ji even sarcastically said, "If you don't even know the fire absorption mantra, let's just go back home directly." Ouyang Xianxing also looked puzzled. Pei Ling could only awkwardly explain that her knowledge of Dan Dao was limited, and she hadn't had time to study yet. Ouyang Xianxing looked helpless, and was just about to teach on the spot. She was interrupted by Fang Ji. Why not take Pei Ling back first? After all, it takes at least half a month for a qi refining stage cultivator to learn the fire absorption mantra. Seeing Fang Ji acting so perfunctorily, Ouyang Xianxing directly slapped Fang Ji in the face with a big slap. Half a month is just half a month. Seeing this situation, Shui Ying dared not say more, only cursing angrily in her heart. Mean servant! You really treat a qi refining stage cultivator well. You're quite obedient to Zheng Jingshan's dog. But you won't have much time left. Ouyang Xianxing started on the spot teaching directly. After reciting the fire absorption mantra once, Ouyang Xianxing thought of explaining it carefully to Pei Ling. Unknown to him, Pei Ling's system had already recorded the fire absorption mantra completely. Just as Pei Ling was thinking about how to explain to senior sister, he had already mastered the fire absorption mantra. Shui Ying's formation has also been set up completely. Ouyang Xianxing is also not polite. After she took the formation flag and compass from Shui Ying's hands, she directly used the bone bloom that Shui Ying had planted before, sealed it into a cocoon. After all, Shui Ying has caused trouble several times before, so doing this is also for the sake of caution. I have to say that this senior sister is really reliable. I saw Ouyang Xianxing directly activating the formation. Under the blessing of the formation, the frost marrow flame successfully expelled the cold air absorbed in the bone crane marsh. After she purified the frost marrow flame and gave it to Pei Ling, Ouyang Xianxing planned to take Pei Ling to Mushroom Gloom Cavern to give Pei Ling time to learn the fire absorption mantra. Fang Ji expressed that the road to Mushroom Gloom Cavern is fraught with danger, and it may be difficult for just the two of us to protect Pei Ling's safety. However, Ouyang Xianxing remains resolute. I will open the coffin to face the enemy when the critical moment comes. Such a high price also surprised the two in their hearts. You should know that just now when you were in Dreamsense Forest, Ouyang Xianxing only used the black coffin once, and his vital energy was greatly injured. Senior sister Pei Ling, who is so good, naturally doesn't want senior sister to be hurt again. He immediately expressed that he wants to try absorbing fire into his body right now. How arrogant is this male protagonist? Just after hearing the mantra once, he dares to directly absorb the Dan pill fire. You should know that absorbing the Dan pill fire is only a one-time opportunity. Once failed, death is inevitable. Pei Ling acts recklessly like this. Ouyang Xianxing takes good care of Pei Ling. She naturally strongly discourages it. However, Pei Ling insisted on acting alone and directly summoned the system to start absorbing frost marrow flame. The originally ill-intentioned Fang Ji instead praised Pei Ling in every possible way. After all, even a genius among geniuses could not succeed. Only being devoured by the flames of the Dan pill awaits Pei Ling. However, Fang Ji was slapped hard in the face the next second. Under the control of the system, Pei Ling's process of harnessing fire appeared to be effortless. He didn't even show a hint of pain. Little did anyone know that Pei Ling, who appeared calm and composed on the surface, deep down, he was already in unbearable pain. After all, the burning sensation caused by the Dan pill was not easy to endure. He wanted to stop, but the system didn't care whether he was in pain or not. Watching as Pei Ling was about to absorb the frost marrow flame, Shuang, trapped by Ouyang Xianxing, immediately became agitated. If Pei Ling succeeds in absorbing this, then wouldn't all his efforts along the way be in vain? And if Pei Ling grows up, the Jiansang lineage will naturally rise to power, so his decision to join Miao Chengyang will become meaningless. For his own future, Shuang will overlook many things. He directly forces his technique and tries to break free from the restraints to kill Pei Ling. However, just at the moment, he was about to break free from the restraints, Ouyang Xianxing also sensed Shui Ying's intention to kill. She immediately moved to finish off Shui Ying. Fortunately, Miao Chengyang arrived in time to save Shui Ying. Ouyang Xianxing knew that he was no match, so he decided to resist for a while first. She was just letting Fang Ji take Pei Ling away. Fang Ji promised in her mouth. But she took the opportunity to raise her hand, and 2 steel needles flew straight towards Pei Ling. Fortunately, Ouyang Xianxing reacted in time. She didn't let Pei Ling die on the spot. The highest level cultivator Miao Chengyang didn't rush to take action. He wanted Pei Ling to first experience the feeling of being abandoned by friends and family. Then he slowly tortured Pei Ling to death. Only by doing so can he resolve the hatred in his heart. The Fang Ji, with a flattering look on his face, also took the opportunity to say, "Senior sister, even if the 2 of us join forces, we are no match for Peak Master Miao. Wise people adapt to circumstances. How about we work together with Peak Master Miao?" Ouyang Xianxing felt a sinking feeling in her heart. Although she was considered a lesser disciple, she would not do anything that would betray her sect. Moreover, the principle of being as good as one's word was her own code of conduct. How could she stoop to collaborating with you all in wrongdoing? When Ouyang Xianxing saw that Miao Chengyang was so ignorant of what is good for him, he no longer held back. He directly launched an attack on Ouyang Xianxing. Ouyang Xianxing quickly took out a black coffin to defend against it. However, before she could open the black coffin, Miao Chengyang pressed against her throat. After all, the disparity on the stage was not so easy to make up for. Just when Ouyang Xianxing was in despair, Miao Chengyang disappeared out of thin air. Fang Ji, who was left looking puzzled, and Shui Ying, equally puzzled, found themselves in an illusory realm with Miao Chengyang, only to see a yellow-clad woman embroidering, speaking gently. "Come and have a seat, Peak Master Miao." Accompanied by Grace, Miao Chengyang was taken away. The situation on the scene immediately reversed, as Ouyang Xianxing's strength has always been above that of Shui Ying and Fang Ji. They dared to betray their sect entirely, because they had Miao Chengyang as their backing. Now Miao Chengyang's whereabouts are unknown. Ouyang Xianxing will naturally not hold back and directly open the black coffin. And in the coffin lies a girl wearing a red dress. As the red dress girl's arm rises, countless bone spikes rush towards them. Fang Ji quickly took out the auspicious pattern treasure furnace to resist, but with their cultivation levels, I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for long. The 2 could only pray in their hearts for Miao Chengyang to hurry back. Little did they know that at this moment, Miao Chengyang had already been pulled into an illusion by Grace. Miao Chengyang in the illusion looked at the person in front of him. He also guessed in his heart that this person should be Fairy Li, the Miss Grace under her command. Immediately, he inquired of Grace what the reason was for her bringing him here. Grace's response was equally straightforward. "Don't touch Pei Ling." Miao Chengyang was suddenly shocked. Could it be that Pei Ling's backing is not Zheng Jingshan, but Fairy Li? But if he doesn't kill his inner demon, Pei Ling's heart will never be released. Reluctant, Miao Chengyang wants to refuse. He found a mysterious wound on his face, staring at it intently. It turns out Grace was drawing a portrait of Miao Chengyang. A needle was stuck in the handkerchief. Miao Chengyang was about to resist when he was struck away by an invisible force. Just then, Grace slowly said, "If Pei Ling had just failed to take in the fire, I wouldn't save him and wouldn't stop you. Unfortunately, you are unlucky. Firstly, you must not reveal what happened today. Secondly, you are not allowed to take action until Pei Ling enters the innate state. If you make these two inner demon great oaths, I will let you go." Miao Chengyang asked, "Does that mean I can kill Pei Ling as long as he enters innate?" Grace did not deny it. "If Pei Ling dies by your hand, then Pei Ling is useless and not worthy of Master's attention. Miao Chengyang, although unwilling in his heart, can do nothing about it. He can only let that kid live a little longer." Immediately, he made two inner demon great oaths. After making the vow, he was about to leave when he was stopped by Grace. "Have a sip of tea before you leave." The scene changes. Shuang, who was still struggling to support herself, and Fang Ji were on the verge of being killed. Shuang immediately suggested bringing Pei Ling over as a shield. Fang Ji did not hesitate either. He then released the Netherflame Gu, flying towards Pei Ling. Ouyang Xianxing saw the situation and hurriedly tried to control the girl in red to stop the Netherflame Gu, but the Netherflame Gu easily evaded it. That distraction also gave Fang Ji the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. When she came to her senses, Fang Ji's fist, which had 3 steel needles, was already. He instantly sent her flying. Pei Ling, who had finally absorbed the frost marrow flame, endured the pain and dodged the attacks of Netherflame Gu. He was about to pull out the Nihil blade to counterattack. He found that the Nihil blade had actually fallen from his hand. Upon closer inspection, he had already been scorched all over by the frost marrow flame. He couldn't even pick up a knife. Just as things were at a critical juncture between life and death, Pei Ling had a sudden inspiration. He directly summoned the system to cultivate the Blood Fiend Blade art. Just in an instant, Shuang, who was already heavily injured. He was then slain by Pei Ling, who was controlled by the system. And he sucked up Shui Ying's blood and xianxia completely upon seeing Pei Ling being so brave. Fang Ji couldn't help but shudder in his heart, and he instinctively turned around and ran. And he also asked Netherflame Gu to help cover his retreat. What frightened Fang Ji more was Ouyang Xianxing, who had just regained consciousness, unexpectedly released all the seals on the red-clothed girl. In an instant, Fang Ji was pierced by the red-clothed girl's bone spike. At the same time, Netherflame Gu also took action, and Pei Ling was not idle either at this moment. He used the Blood Fiend Blade art to suck up all of Fang Ji's blood and xianxia. Just then, a hand tapped Pei Ling's shoulder, interrupting Pei Ling's cultivation process. This method was also told to Ouyang Xianxing by Pei Ling. After all, this doggone system doesn't recognize people. Who knows what outrageous things it might do? When you are tapped on the shoulder in a cave, never easily turn around. Because you don't have a clue whether the one tapping you is a human or a ghost. Pei Ling made this mistake. Just saw a red-clothed girl with bright red eyes. Facing him with an evil smile on her face, the next second countless bone spurs burst out instantly. Pei Ling quickly took out the Nihil blade to defend herself, fortunately having absorbed the blood and xianxia of Shuang and Fang Ji earlier. This allowed him to barely defend himself. He watched as the red-robed girl had lost control. Suddenly, several iron chains shot out from the black coffin. The iron chains directly pulled the girl in red into the black coffin, leaving Pei Ling with mixed emotions. Is it that girl Willow again? Little did they know that Willow had acted on her own initiative. She was rebuked by Fairy Lee. Now Grace is taking care of Pei Ling. Pei Ling was delighted. He was just about to hug Grace's thigh tightly. He was kicked away by Grace with one kick. The master does not like incompetent people. Before you have demonstrated more value, you should count yourself lucky. Pei Ling was speechless in her heart. Unyielding Pei Ling still wanted to ask Fairy Lee if there were any new cultivation techniques to impart to her. but she found that Grace had long disappeared without a trace. The scene suddenly changed. After returning to the withered orchid courtyard, Pei Ling recounted the process of getting the fire to Zheng Jingshan in detail. Zheng Jingshan was instantly furious, feeling that all the years of careful cultivation were in vain, as it turned out that they were both ungrateful betrayers. They deserved to be punished for betraying you by practicing the outer Xia technique. As for the matter of Miao Chengyang being taken away by Grace, naturally, it also made Zheng Jingshan vent his anger. He knows Grace's capabilities. Then Miao Chengyang will also be in big trouble. Pei Ling quickly asked about how she was doing in paying off her fine when she saw the situation. Unexpectedly, Zheng Jingshan is not acting with integrity. He said that he would help Pei Ling pay the fine only if the fire is successfully extinguished. But now he is acting self-righteously, saying, "Junior brother Pei, what is a mere 100,000 fine for the frost marrow flame? I assure you that you can pay it back." Pei Ling was speechless in an instant. And Miao Chengyang not only suffered serious injuries here, and he was also poisoned by goo toxins. Outraged, Miao Chengyang immediately ordered his disciple to kill all of Pei Ling's relatives, so that Pei Ling could experience the pain of losing loved ones as well. At this moment, a disciple advised that such actions might not be appropriate. If this is done, others may think that the peak master is unable to deal with Pei Ling, and can only take it out on her family. If this were to reach the ears of true disciple Zhou, the position of our Xiaochuan lineage would probably be at risk. Not to mention that Pei Ling was often suppressed within the clan in the early years, and the massacre of the Pei family may disrupt his state of mind. Miao Chengyang also makes sense when they hear it. This disciple continued to say, "However, I have another way. There is a female cultivator in outer sect who has some connections with Pei Ling. Under the foundation establishment stage, how many people are able to resist the temptation of worldly pleasures? Eating is a man's pleasure. Throughout history, how many people can resist the temptation of beauty? In a small courtyard of outer, a bustling qi refining stage cultivator is surrounding a beautiful woman playing the qin. People might have been attracted by the beautiful sound of the qin. Or perhaps they were attracted by the impressive pectoral muscles. The continuous applause on the scene, while Sun Orchid, as the person involved, appeared quiet and virtuous on the surface. Internally, however, she looked scornful, all those qi refining 3 for layer wastes. When will those truly remarkable talents be able to see my beauty and talent?" Suddenly, a loud rumble broke the harmonious atmosphere. When the crowd of licking dogs saw this, they quickly shielded Sun Orchid behind them, acting as her flower protectors. When they saw that the newcomer was at the foundation establishment stage cultivation level, the group of flower protectors scattered instantly. Only the senior bootlicker Pei Hongyan remained unmoved, standing in front of Sun Orchid. However, a bootlicker is ultimately just a bootlicker. Upon learning that the visitor is at the foundation establishment stage cultivation level, Sun Orchid pushed Pei Hongyan aside. She threw herself directly into the arms of this stranger, showing off coquettishly. To her surprise, this person didn't understand at all what it means to appreciate a delicate beauty. He directly knocked Sun Orchid to the ground with a single blow to the head. "Outer, there are countless people like you, seducing a few worthless individuals and thinking that you are qualified to climb up the ladder. I'll give you a task. Seduce Pei Ling within half a month. Otherwise you die." This operation also instantly confuses Pei Hongyan. The scene shifts. Pei Ling is buying Dan refining materials. He suddenly felt a warm sensation coming from behind. Pei Ling had not reacted yet, when Sun Orchid began to touch her up and down. Pei Ling quickly pushed Sun Orchid away. Sun Orchid who fell to the ground. She took the opportunity to put on a pitiful appearance. Pei Ling had no words in her heart. If she accidentally injured herself and reported it to Steward's Hall, she might end up with an additional fine. Helpless, Pei Ling could only step forward to assist and apologize. Seeing Pei Ling like this, Sun Orchid instantly gained confidence. Indeed, men are all the same. Afterward, she put an aphrodisiac pill into her cherry lips and started to flirt with Pei Ling. With her already captivating figure coupled with this inner sensuality, who wouldn't be mesmerized? It's no wonder Pei Hongyan willingly played the role of a licking dog. But upon second thought, this Sun Orchid used to hate me to the bone. She is now actively seeking me out. There must be something fishy going on. Is she playing leapfrog, wanting to get under my waist for a drink? Pei Ling, who wants to be clear-minded, didn't dare to delay for a moment and slipped away directly. However, how could Sun Orchid, who had a mission on her shoulders, easily let Pei Ling go? No matter where Pei Ling hides, Sun Orchid can find her. Pei Ling who can't bear it anymore. He had to try to hide and take a bath in the men's bathroom. Even so, Pei Ling, who was as timid as a startled bird, was still mixed in by Sun Orchid and could only flee in panic to All Arts Hall. After all, there are restrictions here. Each person has their own independent space. However, what Pei Ling never expected was got rid of Sun Orchid, but encountered the even more aggressive Fairy Lee. She started misbehaving as soon as she came up, unfastening her clothes. What kind of experience is it to be caught peeking at Saintess while she's bathing? Pei Ling, with a face full of embarrassment, quickly explained that she didn't mean to peek, and Fairy Lee was not angry either. After all, the two had been open and honest with each other more than once. Even though all of that happened without Pei Ling's knowledge. Fairy Lee was visibly stunned to see that Pei Ling was able to break free from her spell control. But then she thought to herself that this is also good, judging from the cultivate just now. Even if I control Pei Ling dual cultivation level, it has not improved much. It's better to take this opportunity. Let Pei Ling dual cultivate with me while awake, so I can see the results. If things go wrong, I can just erase Pei Ling's memory afterwards. However, Fairy Lee's thoughts only added more pressure to the already embarrassed Pei Ling. The invisible sense of oppression made Pei Ling instinctively want to escape. However, as soon as Pei Ling turned around, Fairy Lee called out to her. He faced Fairy Lee's beckoning. Pei Ling resisted with all her might in her heart, but dared not refuse, so she could only walk towards Fairy Lee nervously and fearfully. Just these few short steps made Pei Ling feel like she had walked 1,000 miles away. What does Fairy Lee want from me? Could it be that I have used her title too much and been discovered, so now she has come to question me? Pei Ling never expected that Fairy Lee would immediately ask her to use the Sixth Desire's secret tome. Pei Ling immediately had a confused expression on her face. What is the Sixth Desire's secret tome? Could it be that Grace forgot to give me the cultivation technique back then? At this moment, Pei Ling still doesn't know that the no-name cultivation technique is the Sixth Desire's secret tome. Pei Ling, looking helpless, had to explain that she really doesn't know the Sixth Desire's secret tome at all. Fairy Lee discovered through a secret method that Pei Ling was not lying. Looking puzzled, Fairy Lee thought Pei Ling had just awakened. His memory has not fully recovered yet, but this doesn't bother Fairy Lee at all. Just saw Fairy Lee getting up directly. She grabbed Pei Ling's neck, which scared Pei Ling into a cold sweat. However, the next second, Fairy Lee kissed directly, and a familiar feeling overwhelmed Pei Ling inexplicably. Moreover, there was a continuous emergence of spiritual power flowing within him. Does it mean that the no-name cultivation technique is the Sixth Desire's secret tome? Should I use the system to automatically cultivate? No, how can such a rare opportunity that comes once in a millennium be easily let go? After enduring for so long, it's finally my turn to show some courage. Shortly after, he disregarded everything and embraced Fairy Lee in his arms. Accompanied by the sound of flowing water, the two of them immediately started practicing the Sixth Desire's secret tome in the pool. And at this moment, Fairy Lee finally experienced the pleasure of practicing dual cultivation for the first time, feeling the surge of spiritual power rushing in, which made her forget everything. If I give you an unparalleled beauty, who only eats and sleeps every day, how long can you persist in playing cards with her and laughing along with her, other than eating and sleeping every day. Pei Ling, who has extraordinary talents, persisted for a full half-month without rest, but still couldn't satisfy Fairy. It's just that Fairy feels that the half-month-long poker practice did not make her feel the same as when they first became intimate. This also surprised Pei Ling. She had tried all 18 kinds of martial arts, but it still wasn't enough to satisfy her. Just saw Fairy after she tidied up her hair. She directly threw the clothes onto Pei Ling's face and said, "You can leave now." This is clearly a scumbag who acts like they don't know anyone as soon as they pull up their pants. Oh no, wait, their skirt. Pei Ling can only force a smile despite feeling helpless in her heart. After all, if she continues like this, her engine might need a major overhaul. However, what Pei Ling never expected was that in the moment, he supported his waist and walked out the door. Very unexpectedly, without martial ethics, wanted to erase the memories of their intimacy. Pei Ling naturally strongly opposes this. Even her engine is almost scrap, yet you didn't show any concern and actually want to forcefully erase my memories. There is no reason for this. However, Fairy turned a deaf ear to Pei Ling's doubts. Wait until Pei Ling regains consciousness again. Just felt a sharp pain in the lower back. How did I fall asleep? And my lower back hurt so much again. Why did I say again? Can't figure it out. Never mind, I won't think about it either. I don't know how long I slept. I guess Sun Orchid must have left a long time ago. The priority now is to leave this all-arts hall. Suddenly, a xianxia blocked Pei Ling's way. And he said that you cannot leave the all-arts hall without buying anything. Pei Ling was speechless for a while. But upon second thought, this kind of forced buying and selling style really fits the style of this underworld sect. He just considered it as spending money to avoid disaster. The only regret is that the cultivation technique in all arts hall can only be viewed by paying to see the content inside. Otherwise, one could just freeload the entire all arts hall. Forced to do so, Pei Ling could only choose a cheap cultivation technique to make do with. Just at this moment, a cultivation technique that can plunder the surrounding vitality and heal oneself or others has caught Pei Ling's attention. However, cultivating this cultivation technique is not very convenient. If one accidentally absorbs the plants and creatures within the sect, they will then bear a hefty fine. Pei Ling even imagined herself unable to afford the fine. Scene of being chased and hunted. With a helpless expression, Pei Ling could only shift her focus to other cultivation techniques. After pondering for half a day, Pei Ling finally found a cheap cultivation technique that only required 800 spiritual stones. When he saw that the content of the cultivation technique was about manipulation and faking death, Pei Ling's mind suddenly conjured up some poker-playing scenes. Pei Ling is puzzled, wondering if she has forgotten something important. How miserable is the male lead, despite winning a lot of poker games. He's been playing in automated or idle mode all along. He finally personally played a game, after all. His memory was also forcibly erased. Pei Ling looked at the 800 spiritual stones in front of her, and the cultivation technique that could detonate or control them. He flashed an image of an intimate relationship with Fairy in his mind, waiting for Pei Ling to carefully recall, but he couldn't remember anything. Helpless Pei Ling could only buy the cultivation technique first. He will study it slowly in the future. The urgent task now is to refine pills to make money to pay the fine. However, what baffled Pei Ling was that she had only slept for a while, but the gatekeeper claimed that she had been inside for half a month. Pei Ling, unwilling to accept this, still wanted to question whether the gatekeeper had made a mistake. He was informed by the gatekeeper that the only person who had entered naked and came out dressed was this one. Pei Ling was speechless instantly, knowing that it was impossible to remember incorrectly. He has half a month less to accumulate the fines. The only thing worth celebrating is that the sun orchid that had been entangling him is gone. Pei Ling, who received confirmation, did not dare to delay for a moment. He is about to go back to Dan refining without stopping. Until half a month later. Pei Ling plans to go find Zheng Jingshan to inquire about the distribution of dividends for the Dan pill. However, what greeted him was a patient wrapped in bandages from head to toe. Pei Ling was just about to inquire about the extent of the injuries. He was interrupted by Zheng Jingshan, who only informed Pei Ling about the matters related to the Jingshi clan. He had already taken care of it, and also about the 10 top-grade bone-quenching pills from last time. Pei Ling can obtain a medium-grade spiritual stone, and 1 medium-grade spiritual stone can be exchanged for 10,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. Pei Ling was stunned on the spot, never expected that the Dan pill she refined would be so valuable. So he handed over all 120 extra top-grade bone-quenching Dan pills on his body to Zheng Jingshan for sale. This also made Zheng Jingshan break out in a cold sweat. These kind of rare top-grade Dan pills are hard to come by. Pei Ling actually managed to cultivate so many in just half a month. He does have extraordinary talent. In that case, an average market definitely wouldn't be able to digest it. Then he can only sell it at the Viperous Depths. The Viperous Depths is a place not under the jurisdiction of the 9 major sects, a sanctuary where freelance cultivators gather. It is also a place where cultivators from various factions engage in illicit transactions. Upon hearing this, Pei Ling immediately lost all interest in the Viperous Depths. At that moment, Zheng Jingshan suddenly discovered that Pei Ling's cultivation level had already reached the Qi refining 6th-layer pinnacle. Such astonishing cultivation talent truly shocked Zheng Jingshan. As a party involved, Pei Ling was also full of confusion on her face. He had only been refining the Dan pill for half a month. How could his progress be so rapid? Seeing the situation, Zheng Jingshan was also extremely enthusiastic in settling Pei Ling with some words, and let Pei Ling go back to continue Dan refining. At the same time, he was also thinking about how to find a way to help Pei Ling refine a CJ Dan of middle grade or higher. It would be best to obtain the Dan recipe. After all, such monstrous talent is not often seen. When Pei Ling returned to her residence, it seemed that the matter of the fine was almost resolved. He just thought it would be better to first elevate his cultivation level. So he opened the system and started cultivating the bone tempering art. However, a prompt from the system instantly gave Pei Ling a bad feeling, detecting the absence of the breakthrough Dan pill CJ Dan. The system will provide a top-grade CJ Dan for free. Immediately, the system once again took control of Pei Ling's body. Ran out all the way. When people are unlucky, even drinking cold water can choke them. As the eldest daughter of the prominent Jin family in the sect, she would never have imagined she would be robbed of multiple opportunities by the same person. Upon the end of her seclusion, Jin Sumian couldn't wait to show her elder cousin the top-grade CJ Dan she had refined. Naturally, this elicited a round of praise from her elder cousin. Jin Sumian, excited but cautious, wanted her cousin to take her to Gu Abyss to obtain the Frost Marrow Flame. She was informed by her cousin that the Frost Marrow Flame had been taken by Zheng Jingshan. However, Zheng Jingshan compensated them with a share of 9 nether cold spring water. Although this 9 nether cold spring water is superior to the Frost Marrow Flame in terms of body tempering and soul purification. But Jin Sumian is currently solely focused on Dan refining, inevitably giving rise to some resentment. The cousin had to comfort Zheng Jingshan, who stubbornly refused to say who he was fighting for. He only said it was commanded by Fairyly, and there have been rumors recently that Fairyly has emerged from seclusion. The cousin also didn't want to make a big fuss about the matter. Cousin can help you teach Zheng Jingshan a lesson. Jin Sumian's complexion still hasn't improved. Cousin had to leave first in the name of reprimanding Zheng Jingshan. Before leaving, she also reminded Jin Sumian to concentrate on gathering energy and focusing when cultivating. But Jin Sumian was unwilling in her heart. She had no choice but to settle for second best. She poured the 9 nether cold spring water into the hot spring for soaking. Suddenly, a talisman appeared out of thin air. Alert Jin Sumian quickly inquired about the identity of the newcomer. upon learning that it was senior sister Lu Luqiang. Jin Semian sat openly on the shore and chatted with senior sister without reservation. Lu Luqiang informed Jin Semian that there was news about the Foundation Establishment Dan recipe, but Jin Semian needed to join Zhang Shua's team to go to Han Clan Manor for a mission. It was said that the whereabouts of the red tendril vine could be found there. Zhang Shua also promised that if Jin Semian could refine 2 Foundation Establishment Dan with red tendril vine, both the red tendril vine and the Foundation Establishment Dan recipe would belong to Jin Semian. Upon hearing this, Jin Semian promptly agreed. After seeing off Lu Luqiang, Jin Semian did not dare to delay. She immediately entered the hot spring to prepare for absorbing the 9 nether cold spring water. However, this 9 nether cold spring water is not easy to absorb. The ice-cold spring water rushed like a sharp sword, as if countless whips were lashing her body at the same time. This was just the first step, but even so, Jin Semian still gritted her teeth and persisted. Suddenly, a figure silently walked in, and he, as if no one else was around, kept rummaging through the clothes left on the shore by Jin Semian. Although Jin Semian discovered it in time, she was helpless because she couldn't move during the body tempering process. At this moment, Jin Semian could only pray that this person wouldn't have any improper thoughts about her, or else her innocence would be lost. However, what she never expected was the person not only swallowed the top-grade seed jade Dan that she had painstakingly refined, and he walked up to her without any courtesy. How shameless is this male lead! He took advantage of Jin Semian's inability to move while absorbing the 9 nether cold spring water, not only in front of Jin Semian. He ate the top-grade seed jade Dan that she had painstakingly refined. He then walked straight towards Jin Semian in the hot spring. With the closeness of the distance, both of them unexpectedly recognized each other at the same time. Pei Ling was unwilling in every way. However, the system disregarded these personal feelings and worldly affairs. The system directly controlled Pei Ling to remove the clothes from her body. Later, he even leaped into the air and jumped towards Jin Semian. Pei Ling was shocked. This darn system really doesn't leave itself any way out. You should know that Jin Semian's cousin is a female hero whom even Zheng Jingshan fears. And Jin Semian in the hot spring was even more shocked and terrified. If the plot continues like this, her innocence might not be preserved. Fortunately, the dog system's goal is still clear. After jumping in, it did not do anything inappropriate, just sat beside Jin Semian and started trying to seize the 9 nether cold spring water. In just a short moment, Pei Ling managed to. 9 nether cold spring water was taken away by March 4th, leaving Jin Semian extremely frustrated. What's even more hateful is that Pei Ling, after absorbing the 9 nether cold spring water, did not leave. Instead, right in front of Jin Semian, she released the frost marrow flame and continued to cultivate. Jin Semian could no longer bear it. After losing opportunities repeatedly, even if it means self-destructing, I will teach you a lesson. Jin Semian, uncontrollably angry, stood up and attacked Pei Ling, regardless of whether she was dressed or not. However, the next moment, she was pushed down into the hot spring by Pei Ling. Poor Jin Semian, when has she ever suffered such grievances? The next morning, Pei Ling's one-click cultivate finally ended. Although the process was somewhat inhuman, the results were not bad. Not only did the cultivation level break through the Qi refining 7 layer, but the bones also successfully evolved to top-grade jade bone. It's just that this aftermath problem really gives Pei Ling a headache. At this moment, Pei Ling can only pray that Jin Semian won't run into any trouble, otherwise, things will really get tricky. However, when Pei Ling saw Jin Semian lying on the side, her heart instantly sank halfway. No matter how she looked at it, Jin Semian didn't seem to be okay at all. Panicking Pei Ling had a sudden inspiration. She loves Dan refining so much. There must be many healing Dan pills in her home. So there was a scene of one exhibitionist hugging another exhibitionist, rummaging around the house. After a search, Pei Ling actually found a bottle of soul-calming Dan, which is good at calming the spirit and nourishing the soul. The consumer will sleep continuously for a month, nurturing the soul and replenishing the spirit in their dreams. The current situation is critical. He can only make Jin Samian take this Dan pill, and hope that no one will come looking for her in the next month. He will find a way to apologize after she recovers. Suddenly, a knocking sound at the door startled Pei Ling, causing her to break out in a cold sweat. His words truly shape reality. Someone has come so quickly. Helpless, Pei Ling had no choice but to go and open the door. The visitor is senior sister Lu Luqiang from Jin Samian. Pei Ling had to lie that Jin Samian is currently recuperating and is not available to meet guests. When Lu Luqiang failed to recognize Pei Ling, a plan instantly formed in Pei Ling's mind. With an extremely self-loving attitude, Pei Ling said, "It seems that Samian hasn't told you about me and her, right? For girls, spreading false rumors is probably the most malicious thing in the world." Pei Ling falsely claimed that she and Jin Samian are Taoist partners just to get away. Shocked Lu Luqiang naturally did not believe. Arrogant Jin Samian could not possibly take a liking to the insignificant unnamed soldier with only chi refining 7-layer. Moreover, she and Jin Samian are as close as sisters. How could she not be aware of such a romantic affair between them? Pei Ling did not fall for Lu Luqiang. He immediately expressed that he wanted to have private talks with Jin Samian. Senior sister, could it be that he wants to watch the scene on the spot for the reason that he is unwilling to leave? Seeing Pei Ling's lecherous expression, Lu Luqiang instantly lost her composure. She absolutely would not allow anyone to defile her sister like this. The enraged Lu Luqiang raised her hand and struck with a 9-yin skeleton claw, catching the panicked Pei Ling off guard. He used only one move, the blood ghost escaping art. He quickly subdued Lu Luqiang. Lu Luqiang was greatly surprised in his heart. I am only at the chi refining 8th layer, yet he was able to fight against me beyond his level and instantly suppress me. His terrifying talent does indeed meet Samian's expectations. Could it be that everything he said is true? The calm Lu Luqiang immediately asked whether Samian would participate in the mission at Pei Ling Han Clan Manor. Pei Ling originally wanted to refuse, but she then thought that if she didn't go, it would definitely raise suspicion. After much deliberation, Pei Ling could only lie and claim that Jin Samian is currently recuperating, and that he will go in her place to complete this task. Lu Luqiang, who believed it to be true, left in disappointment after arranging a meeting time. Pei Ling, on the other hand, had a worried expression on her face. He assigned this task to himself a month ago. He has seen it in the miscellaneous affairs department. It must be extremely dangerous since nobody has taken it for so long. To survive, Pei Ling immediately decided to go to the Withered Orchid Courtyard to seek help. However, upon arriving at the Withered Orchid Courtyard, he was immediately drawn to the puppet wooden man at the entrance. He had never noticed such a thing before, and this puppet wooden man looked like it had just been beaten up. But the most important thing now is to find Zheng Jingshan and get help. He was informed by a puppet. Peak Master has left the sect and will not return for a short period of time. Persistent Pei Ling hurriedly inquired, "Is Ouyang's senior sister there, or are there others available?" Feeling disappointed, the wooden puppet still repeated the same message. Peak Master has left the sect and will not return for a short period of time. Pei Ling immediately retorted, "Can't you say something else? Are you and that stupid system of mine siblings?" However, the response he received was still the same sentence. Peak Master has left the sect and will not return for a short period of time. Pei Ling instantly became furious and unleashed a barrage of attacks towards the wooden puppet. Just as she returned to Jin Samian's cave, Lu Luqiang came to support her. Pei Ling, with a helpless expression, could only resign herself to fate. What annoyed Pei Ling even more was Lu Luqiang's somewhat sarcastic inquiry. "You finished so quickly?" Despite feeling indignant, Pei Ling did not dare say more. On the way, Lu Luqiang was very curious about the love story between him and Jin Samian. And Pei Ling, in order to avoid being discovered, could only tactfully praise Jin Samian. he eventually managed to steer the conversation towards Han Clan Manor, only to be informed by Lu Luqiang. In the previous few batches of cultivators sent to Han Clan Manor for missions, only one person survived. The greater the wind and waves, the more valuable the fish. While the task of the Han Clan Manor is said to be extremely dangerous, the substantial reward still attracts chi refining stage cultivators like moths to a flame. It turns out that in the early years, the Han Clan Manor once had a cultivator at the Foundation Establishment pinnacle, but unfortunately perished while attempting to break through to the Golden Core stage. But he also left behind something for the younger generations: numerous talismans, artifacts, and other resources. Han Clan Manor also relies on abundant resources to successfully cultivate an outstanding cultivator with exceptional aptitude. That would be Han Sigu, senior brother of Blood-Tide Peak. Unfortunately, after he went to the Viper's depths to vie for an opportunity related to Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment, he never returned. Since then, the Han Clan Manor has been declining day by day. Just a few months ago, the entire Han Clan Manor was wiped out overnight without any warning. However, there are rumors circulating in the streets. The so-called overnight wipeout was just a rumor to deter others from coveting the resources inside the estate. After all, the treasure trove of the Han Clan Manor has not been discovered to this day. Under the leadership of Lu Luqiang, the two soon arrived at the meeting point. As team captain, Zhang Shua had been waiting for a long time. Pei Ling was just about to flatter, but was directly ignored by Zhang Shua at the 9th layer of Qi refining. After all, Jin Sumian is only at the 8th layer of Qi refining. The genius Dan alchemist must be feeling uncomfortable having Pei Ling, who is of little use to the team, arriving now. Once the whole team is assembled. As the team leader, Zhang Shua is extremely responsible in introducing Pei Ling to the other teammates. However, the disdain for Pei Ling waiting for her is evident beyond words, as only those at the Qi refining 7-layer cultivation level dare to participate in this mission. In their view, this is no different from sending oneself to death. As for Jin Sumian's perspective, everyone is also full of doubt. Pei Ling sees that the atmosphere is not right. He quickly took out the Dan pill and distributed it to everyone. After all, here the person with the lowest cultivation level is at Qi refining 8 layer. As long as we maintain good relationships with our teammates, the tasks at Han Clan Manor will be a breeze. He doesn't want to be stabbed in the back by the henchman again. Zhang Shua's face also showed disdain after receiving the bone-quenching Dan. Giving such a low-level Dan pill as a gift is a bit disrespectful to them. However, the next second, everyone was surprised to find out. This is no ordinary Dan pill, but the top-grade bone-quenching Dan. The atmosphere suddenly became exceptionally harmonious. And everyone no longer doubts the relationship between Pei Ling and Jin Sumian. In their opinion, such a top-grade Dan pill must be Jin Sumian's masterpiece. Seeing that her goal was achieved, Pei Ling quickly flattered. There are so many powerful senior brothers and senior sisters here. The tasks at Han Clan Manor must be easy and effortless for them. However, everyone looks worried. It turns out that more than one team has taken on this task. Senior brother Tang often fights monsters in the Goo Abyss with his teammates, honing his skills to the point of being almost invincible on stage. Moreover, the cooperation among teammates is seamless, making them the strongest among several teams. In Guan Snowheart's team, there is also a fiend beast at the 9th level of the Enlightenment stage. Jiao Pu senior brother then persuaded Lu Fujiang senior brother, who is also at the Qi refining 9 layer, to team up. In the end, it was Bai Kuang senior brother's team. Bai Kuang senior brother himself is a master swordsman and borrowed a moon silver long maiden sword from his innate, making him exceptionally powerful. Upon hearing this, Pei Ling immediately had the idea of withdrawing. The confidence that was just built up instantly collapsed. Obviously, this time's mission not only involves facing the crisis of Han Clan Manor but, more frighteningly, the internal fratricide within the same sect. The male lead who resorts to violent tearing of senior and junior sisters' clothes at the slightest disagreement. Not a common occurrence indeed. This matter has to be traced back to when they entered the Han clan manor. It turns out that the clan leader of the Foundation establishment Pinnacle clan at Han clan manor back then set up the Netherwater illusory Lotus Grand formation, protecting the entire Han clan manor within the formation. People who want to enter Han clan manor must wait for a flaw in the formation to appear. Tomorrow at midday, when the formation stagnates, a passage leading to the manor's Lotus Pond will appear. In the meantime, several other teams have also arrived one after another. Only Bai Kwang's team did not show up. Tang Nanja immediately scoffed. That coward Bai Kwang, always dragging his feet. Could it be that he's afraid and fled before the battle? Little did he know that Bai Kwang's team had already entered the Han clan manor 2 days ago with the borrowed Shadow Spirit skimmer. 2 days were enough for them to search through the Han clan manor. However, just as Bai Kwang's team members were acting confidently, Bai Kwang's body suddenly began to twist wildly, with the sound of bones breaking catching the attention of a team member. Before this team member could react, he was killed in one move by Bai Kwang. The other teammates, seeing the situation, could only flee in all directions. Meanwhile, the few small teams outside the village were still scheming against each other. Only to see xianxia step forward first and propose, saying, "We all came for the treasure of the Han clan manor. Conflicts and casualties are inevitable. Since we are all fellow disciples, why should we fight each other? Why don't we work together and distribute the resources of the Han clan manor?" As soon as these words were spoken, Tang Nanjai, who is the strongest among them, naturally was not pleased. However, Guan Snowheart and Jiao Pu's response. But it made Tang Nanjai have to agree. Knowing that these people were deliberately targeting him, he was helpless. After all, he was not sure if he could kill 3 teams at the same time to achieve the goal of cooperation. Zhang Shu also immediately took out a bamboo stick for everyone to draw lots to determine the location for the search. Pei Ling felt a wave of disdain in her heart. These drama queens were still talking about fair cooperation. When they start killing each other later, I hope the blood doesn't splash on me. Wait until a few teams finish drawing lots. Guan Snowheart's team drew the ancient well behind the mountain. Jiao Pu's team is the main hall, and Tang Nanjai's team is the study room. Zhang Shua's team is the Han family ancestral hall. The reason for drawing the Han family ancestral hall is because Zhang Shua speculated. The most likely location of the treasure vault is between the ancestral hall and the Lotus Pond. After inspecting the ancestral hall, they can immediately proceed to the Lotus Pond. To ensure nothing goes wrong, Zhang Shua also suggested resting inside the blood puppet palanquin today. If not necessary, do not leave to avoid other teams turning hostile. However, Pei Ling does not care about any treasure vault. Survival is the most important thing for her. Just in case, Pei Ling decided to learn the Withering Heart technique first. If she can't escape later, she can still use the death escape technique. He then opened the one-click cultivate system and cultivated the Withering Heart technique. Listening to a Buddhist master preaching, "What joy in life, what fear in death, death is merely a new cycle." Pei Ling did not resist or oppose it. Such a simple cultivation method also increased her favorability towards the system, prompting her to decisively give it a 5-star rating. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came, and Pei Ling hurriedly turned around to check. Just then, a senior sister walked straight towards him, before Pei Ling could react. The senior sister strode past Pei Ling's head. A beautiful scenery unfolded before Pei Ling's eyes. Pei Ling, who had realized what was happening, looked around. Suddenly realizing that she was the only one left inside the blood puppet palanquin with this senior sister, Pei Ling, feeling something was amiss, saw the senior sister about to leave. He wanted to grab senior sister to ask about the whereabouts of the others, but in the end, things took a turn. He happened to tear senior sister's top to shreds. Pei Ling, with a face full of embarrassment, was just about to explain. But he found that senior sister walked straight out as if nothing had happened, leaving a bewildered Pei Ling standing in the wind. Just then, Fairy Lee hugged Pei Ling from behind and said, "Pei Ling, let's dual cultivate together." There are no worn-out fields, only overworked oxen. Continuous half a month of dual cultivate. Directly make Pei Ling skinny as a skeleton. Although Pei Ling, who had her memories erased, is unaware. But the painful back and the deficient qi and blood in the body. He can already infer what he has been through. Just starting to improve now. Fairy Lee just happened to show up at this moment and requested to dual cultivate. This sudden stroke of luck and love unexpectedly left Pei Ling unable to make a decision for a while. Although opportunities may be encountered but cannot be sought, with a weak qi and blood in the body, it is probably impossible to showcase one's strongest form. However, Pei Ling quickly felt that something was amiss. Given the current situation and Fairy Lee's display of gentleness, this is definitely an illusion. So as long as I stay alert, you won't be able to seduce me. Pei Ling immediately distanced herself from Fairy Lee with a clear mind. He immediately pointed his index finger at the sky and unleashed the Withering Heart technique. With just a thud, Pei Ling fell to the ground instantaneously, his soul departing from the earth and sky. When Zhang Shu and the others returned to the blood puppet palanquin, Pei Ling has already passed away, leaving Lu Luqiang feeling even more guilty for not being able to protect Pei Ling for Jin Samian. What puzzles everyone is, what does the gesture of pointing to the sky by Pei Ling mean? Is he trying to convey some kind of message to them? Just when everyone is puzzled and cannot figure it out, Pei Ling suddenly opened her eyes wide. This scared everyone quite a bit, and Pei Ling hurried to explain. I heard strange noises last night and was worried about danger, so I used the Withering Heart technique to feign death. However, Lu Luqiang does not believe in the Withering Heart technique. He thinks that such a low-level cultivation technique cannot completely eliminate vitality and spiritual power. Pei Ling can only take advantage of the situation to sell off the cultivation technique. The next second, Pei Ling was surprised to find that 2 people were missing from the team. It turned out that they had all been controlled by an unknown force last night. They woke up to find that the 2 of them had disappeared. Just saw Su Song picking up the pieces of clothes on the ground and analyzing them. Here are also the clothes fragments of Junior Sister Wang. It seems that Junior Sister Wang attempted to resist last night. Pei Ling immediately looked embarrassed. The time to enter Han Clan Manor is approaching. Several people can only temporarily put aside this matter and go to the assembly point. Through Pei Ling's observation, it seems that each team is short of 2 or 3 people. Obviously, it is not caused by internal strife. With the appearance of the entrance, Tang Nanjai also rushed in first. Pei Ling just wanted to step back, but was hugged by Zhang Shu and said grandly to protect Pei Ling. After all entered the Han Clan Manor, each team hurriedly went to their assigned locations without stopping. Only the Zhang Shu team did not move for a long time, just when Pei Ling was puzzled. Zhang Shu explained that Tang Nanjai's location is on the same road as ours. Have them pave the way for us first. We just need to follow behind. However, their trailing was soon noticed by the team member responsible for rearguard in Tang Nanjai's team. The team member was about to step forward to confront them. He was then grabbed by the neck by Zhang Shu. I spare your life as a token of gratitude. I wonder if junior brother thinks this reward is sufficient. Then he let go of his hand and swaggered away. Pei Ling also looked speechless. Is it too quick to start attacking allies at the beginning? However, that unlucky junior brother was about to tell Tang Nanjai this news when a sense of inexplicable fear suddenly arose in his heart. Perplexed, he quickly turned around to check. He was then instantly killed by the person behind him. A deafening thunderous bolt of lightning struck from the sky. Everyone was startled, and it forced Tang Nanjai to use the mythic Thunder Talisman. It seems that the study must be very dangerous. However, Zhang Shu remained unmoved, just reminding everyone to be cautious. Pei Ling suddenly felt uneasy. A foundation establishment Dan recipe may not be enough to make so many teams take the risk. After a brief exploration, Zhang Shu explained that the most important thing in the Han clan manor is not the foundation establishment Dan recipe, but the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. Initially, although Han Sigu, senior brother, obtained the opportunity to achieve the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, his whereabouts are unknown. However, since he was born in the Han clan manor, even if he did not bring back the method of Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment to the manor, he must have left some information for the manor. The method of foundation establishment is divided into 3 levels: Humanity Tao, Earthly Tao, and Heavenly Tao. The lowest level, Humanity Tao Foundation establishment, can break through foundation establishment by swallowing the Dan pill. Earthly Tao Foundation establishment requires a special method to refine the 5 elemental vital essence. Once cultivated, the strength can be said to crush Humanity Tao Foundation establishment. The most powerful Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment requirements are extremely strict. If Path of Tao fails, it will be destroyed in an instant. But once successful, one can surpass peers and stand out from the crowd. So as long as there is a slight possibility of finding the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, we must seize it. At this point, Pei Ling finally understands why these people are taking risks to find the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. It is afraid that only a person like Fairy can come into contact with it.